Diana's twins yelled. They'd bolted from their father's arms and were scurrying towards Kambi. Most of the guests were leaving and the church hall was getting rowdier. Kambi worried that her 3-year-old nephews might not handle the crowd, but she could see their father trying to catch up with them. Kambi turned back to the best man. "Why? Did he give any explanations at all?" she asked, and swallowed hard. It was clear that the knowledge she sought would come with its full dose of pain, so she braced herself. She imagined that knowing would erase the torture of wandering and groping endlessly in the dark for answers. The best man shook his head and turned his face. From the side, he looked just like Victor. Fair skin, shiny black beard, complete with pointed nose and thin lips. "Oh," she said, "have you heard from Chinwe, my maid of honor?" He nodded. "Chinwe and Victor have eloped," he stuttered. "The slut," Diana yelled. Kambi hadn't noticed her sister standing behind her. Diana would have skinned Chinwe alive if she'd set eyes on her. But Kambi didn't want any more drama. Not even from her tetchy sister, who was charging around like an angry bull. The other bridesmaids huddled round her, trying to comfort her. But she didn't want to hear that everything would be fine and that Victor didn't deserve her. She knew all those things and didn't want to be reminded. Her friend Casey had the loudest voice, and she kept reaching out to wipe the tears that streamed from Kambi's eyes. The sky rumbled. Kambi removed her veil and tossed it aside. She didn't need a groom who could abandon her for her maid of dishonor. She moved away from the other bridesmaids. The twins stepped on the frills of her gown and grabbed her legs. She tripped on the frills, but didn't fall. "You look so lovely on your wedding day," Ayobami sang, mimicking Brenda Fassie's wedding day hit song. "No, she doesn't. She looks like a crybaby," Ayodeji said. They giggled. The bridesmaids had a hard time tearing the twins' hands off the wedding gown. Diana pulled their ears and led them away. Kambi muffled her sobs as she held up her gown and started to run out of the church. "Hold her! Hold her before she does anything rash," her mother yelled. Shoes made a clack-a-clack-clack noises in the church as the bridesmaids hurried towards her, but she dashed out before they could reach her. This wasn't the picture she'd had of her dream wedding since she was 10. Not like this. Being chased by her bridesmaids as she ran out of the church in a bid to hide her face in shame. She hadn't imagined her page boys singing wedding songs in bad taste. Nor had she planned to pray that the ground would open its mouth and swallow her up. In her dreams, she was always wearing a dazzling white gown and silver shoes, while her handsome groom beamed as he said his vows. But things had turned out in the worst possible way. Being a realist, she believed white gowns were for virgins, and Chinwe, her slutty maid of dishonor, had concurred, which was why she was wearing a light pink ball gown. But the color of her gown was not as important as her inner happiness and peace. Had she tried to settle for a man who didn't respect her? She couldn't believe that at 24, she had almost ended up in a miserable union with a man who probably had more dark sides than she could imagine. Kambi kept running through the church garden, lined by rows of ixora and hibiscus flowers. The sky roared and darkened as she ran towards the gate. Someone called her name, but she didn't look backwards or sideways. Her neck hurt, and her eyes too. Her heart was heavy with grief and disappointment, and she felt exhausted. Diana grabbed the frills of her gown. She stumbled, but Casey caught her by the arm so she didn't fall. "You want to get killed?" Kambi wailed. Her mother hugged her, but Kambi pushed her away. Horns blared in the distance. She heard the screeching tires. A cacophony of sounds filled her ears. Kambi's legs weakened. The rain came down in a gentle drizzle and soaked her hair. Her head tilted up, her mouth opened. Her tongue tasted the rain. They held her hands and led her to the car. She felt